Have you ever asked yourself, who am I beyond what I do for others? After decades of raising a family, supporting a partner, or serving a community, it's easy to lose sight of your own identity. But what happens when the roles you've always defined yourself by start to change or disappear? The children leave home, your partner is no longer there, or life simply slows down. If you're feeling a sense of emptiness or confusion, know that you're not alone, and it doesn't mean you failed. This moment of transition might just be the greatest invitation to rediscover who you truly are. In this video, we're going to explore how stepping away from the roles that have defined you for so long can actually be a powerful opportunity for growth and self-discovery. We'll talk about how embracing vulnerability can strengthen your relationships and create deeper connections, how allowing others to give back to you can transform your interactions, and why letting go of the need to be perfect can bring more joy and authenticity into your life. But most importantly, we're going to answer the question: how can you step into this next chapter of your life with confidence and fulfillment? By watching this video until the end, you'll learn practical strategies to embrace your authentic self, break free from old patterns, and build the kind of meaningful, reciprocal relationships that bring true happiness. If you've ever felt like your best years are behind you, or if you're just looking for a fresh start, this video is for you. Let's dive into how you can embrace the best version of yourself, right now, today. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. 1. The burden of a lifetime of giving. Picture this for a moment. You're sitting alone in your home, a quiet, almost sacred space that's seen years of laughter, tears, and memories. Perhaps the sun is setting outside, casting a soft glow over the room, and you find yourself lost in thought. You're thinking back on the long, winding road of your life, the one that's been shaped by a deep commitment to giving. Giving to family, giving to friends, giving to strangers in need. Every moment seems to echo with the sacrifices you've made, the late nights spent by your child's bedside, holding their hand while they fought off sickness, the countless weekends you spent helping friends move, even when you could barely find the energy to move yourself. You gave without hesitation. You put others first, always, without fail. And in those moments, you thought it was right. It felt right, didn't it? You believed, with all your heart, that this was your purpose, your calling. Your life was built on these principles: selflessness, kindness, and unwavering loyalty. You were fulfilling the values instilled in you from childhood. This is what you were supposed to do. You were doing it for love, for duty, for the belief that this was the way to live a life of meaning. Each act of service, no matter how small or large, was a testament to your heart. Your heart that was so full of love for others, even if that meant denying your own needs and your desires. But now, as the years on, you find yourself in the stillness, reflecting on the weight of all that giving. You begin to notice the quiet gaps in your life, where once there was a flurry of activity, of people coming and going, there's now a deafening silence. The phone calls come less and less, and the visitors are few and far between. The people you once helped so eagerly, with open arms, seem to have drifted away, and you can't help but wonder, where are they now? Where are the people who once needed you so desperately? Where are the people who relied on you without question, who knew that no matter what, you would be there for them? In the quiet of your heart, you ask, where are the ones I gave so much to? It's a painful question, a lonely one, and it carries a weight you can't quite shake off. It's like a shadow that looms over your thoughts, reminding you of everything you sacrificed, of all the times you put someone else's needs ahead of your own, often at the expense of your dreams, your well-being, and even your happiness. And as you sit there, lost in reflection, you begin to understand something you hadn't before. Giving, while beautiful, comes with a heavy price. The truth is, you may not have realized it back then, But every time you sacrificed your desires and your comfort to meet someone else's needs, you were slowly chipping away at yourself. The more you gave, the more you lost pieces of who you were. It's as if, over time, you gave so much of yourself that there was nothing left for you. And perhaps that's why now, when you need someone, when you need support or even just someone to listen to you, it feels as though there's no one left. People don't seem to notice. They don't seem to see you anymore. They don't see the person behind the role you've played for so long. You were always the reliable one, the rock, the person everyone turned to in their time of need. You were the fixer, the helper, the one who could always be counted on. And maybe, just maybe, you began to believe that being needed, being the one people relied on, was what gave you worth. Maybe you didn't even know who you were without that role, without being the one who was always there to help, to give. But the truth is, over time, this role, this identity you had so carefully built, began to define you in ways that slowly drained you of your spirit. And the problem is that those around you, those very people you helped and gave to, began to take your generosity for granted. Not out of malice, but because you had shown them for so long that you would always be there. You would never say no. You would never ask for help. You were the one who gave, who made sure everyone else was okay, even when you were barely hanging on by a thread. You had taught them that your needs didn't matter. You had taught them that you would sacrifice yourself for their happiness, for their well-being. And because of that, they stopped seeing you. They stopped noticing when you were struggling. They stopped checking in on you, not because they didn't care, but because you had become invisible in your giving. You became so adept at hiding your pain, at masking your exhaustion with a smile, that they stopped seeing your humanity. The more you gave, the more they took, and the less anyone seemed to ask, "How are you doing?" The more you smiled through your fatigue, the more they assumed you were fine. But you weren't fine. Inside, there was a quiet desperation, a yearning to be seen, to be heard, to be cared for. Not as the person who fixes everyone else's problems, but as the person who needs someone to help them, for once. And yet, that need went unacknowledged. And so, as the seasons of your life changed, did the people around you. The ones who had once relied so heavily on you began to move on, living their own lives, while you remained in the quiet corners of your existence. Still giving, still serving, but now, feeling more alone than ever. This loneliness is not a result of a lack of love. It's a result of the quiet, invisible toll that a lifetime of giving can take on the soul. You may have given so much of yourself that you've forgotten how to receive. You may have believed that love is only valuable if it's earned through service, through sacrifice. But that belief is a lie. The truth is that you are worthy of love, care, and attention. Not because of what you can give to others, but simply because you are you. You are worthy of being seen for who you are, for your beautiful complexity, for your humanity. And you don't have to lose yourself in the act of giving. You can give without losing your sense of self. And so, in this quiet moment of reflection, you must understand this truth. The burden of giving, this weight you've carried for so long, does not define your worth. Your worth is not tied to how much you do for others, how much you give, or how much you sacrifice. Your worth is intrinsic. It exists in every part of you, in every breath you take, in every beat of your heart. And it's time to reclaim that. It's time to let go of the idea that you have to be constantly giving to be loved, that you have to be the ever-reliable helper to have meaning. You are allowed to need. You are allowed to ask for help. You are allowed to take a step back and allow others to step up. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The first step in shifting this narrative is to embrace your worth and recognize that you don't have to be everything to everyone. You don't have to be the caretaker, the fixer, the giver all the time. You are more than that role. You are a person with needs and desires, with a life that deserves attention and care. The second step is allowing yourself to be seen, not as the helper, but as the beautiful, complex individual you are. It's time to shed the heavy burden of always being the one, and finally allow yourself to receive the love, care, and attention you've so freely given to others. It's time to be seen, not for what you do, but for who you are. 2. The cost of never asking for help. Have you ever really stopped and thought about the last time you needed help? The kind of help that could have made a world of difference? Did you ask for it, or did you quietly push through, convincing yourself that you shouldn't burden anyone with your problems? Maybe you even told yourself that others have their own lives to deal with, their burdens to carry, and that it wasn't fair to impose. For so many of us, especially as we grow older, there's this deep-rooted belief that asking for help is somehow a failure, a betrayal of the very identity we've spent a lifetime building. Over the years, we've carefully constructed this persona of self-sufficiency, strength, and independence. In many ways, these qualities have served us well. They've carried us through difficult times, helped us build careers, raise families, and navigate the ups and downs of life. But as time goes on, we fail to see how this resistance to asking for help quietly steals something much more precious than just our pride. It robs us of connection. The cost of never asking for help is subtle, but it's far more profound than we might realize. At first, there's a sense of pride that comes with handling everything on your own. You feel self-reliant, capable, even invincible. It feels like a badge of honor, something to be proud of. You tell yourself, I don't need anyone to get through this. I can manage just fine on my own. But slowly, without realizing it, the very thing that once gave you strength begins to isolate you. You convince yourself that asking for help would make you a burden, that it would inconvenience others or make them see you as weak or incapable. And in doing so, you lock yourself away, like a prisoner in your own life, trapped by the idea that to need anyone is somehow shameful. But here's the heartbreaking reality. By not asking for help, you are deepening your loneliness in ways you might not even fully comprehend. This reluctance to ask for help doesn't just prevent you from receiving the support you so desperately need. It creates a wall, brick by brick, between you and the people who could be there for you. You might think you're protecting others by keeping your struggles to yourself, but what you're doing is shutting them out. You may have told yourself, I don't want to bother anyone, but deep down, what you're saying is, I don't trust anyone to care for me the way I've cared for them. I don't believe anyone could love me enough to offer their help without hesitation. And with every passing day, you build that wall higher and higher. The irony is that, in trying to protect yourself from feeling vulnerable, you're pushing away the very connections that could ease your pain, that could offer you the support, care, and love you so deeply need. The reluctance to ask for help often begins early in life. From a young age, we are taught that being nice means being selfless, that the strong don't need help, and that the truly capable and resilient ones can weather any storm alone. We learn that to ask for help is to admit weakness, to admit failure. We're told, either directly or indirectly, that needing someone is a sign of inadequacy. Maybe it's something your parents taught you, or something you picked up from the world around you. Society's glorification of the pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality. And for a time, these beliefs served us. They helped us get through tough moments, pushing us to persevere and to find strength within ourselves when there seemed to be none. But as the years pass and the challenges get more complex, those same beliefs start to feel more like chains than virtues. They start to weigh you down, keeping you locked in this endless cycle of trying to be everything for everyone, without ever asking for what you need in return. And so, you carry your burdens alone, silently hoping that someone will see your struggle and offer a helping hand. You wait, and yet no one ever seems to notice. But how could they, when you've kept them at arm's length for so long? How could they know the depth of your pain, the weight of your exhaustion, when you've built up this impenetrable fortress around your heart, telling yourself it's safer that way? The cruel irony here is that asking for help is not a burden. It's an invitation. It's an invitation to connect, to open your heart, to let others in. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's an act of trust, a way of saying, I trust you enough to let you see me as I am, not just the perfect version of myself I've been trying to show the world, but the real, vulnerable, flawed human being that I am. And here's something you might not have considered. When you allow others to help you, you create space for deeper, more meaningful relationships. Think about it. When you've helped someone you care about, didn't it fill you with a sense of joy, purpose, and fulfillment? Didn't it make you feel closer to that person, knowing you made a difference in their life? So why wouldn't the people who care about you want that same chance to be there for you? Why wouldn't they feel the same joy in offering their help, in supporting you as you've supported them? But asking for help isn't easy. It's hard, especially when you've spent a lifetime avoiding it. It requires vulnerability, and vulnerability can feel terrifying, especially when you've worked so hard to build an image of strength and self-sufficiency. Asking for help means admitting that you're not invincible, that you have needs, and that you cannot do it all on your own. It means facing the fear that your worth is tied not to what you give, but to who you are. And that can be a difficult truth to confront. But let me remind you, your value isn't measured by how much you can give to others, by how many times you can lift them without ever asking for anything in return. Your value is found in the simple fact that you are worthy of love and care, just as you are, with your needs, your weaknesses, and your imperfections. As you enter this next phase of your life, take a moment to consider what it might look like to open up more. What would it feel like to allow others to see not just your strengths, but your struggles? I know it feels uncomfortable, maybe even scary. Vulnerability feels like exposing a part of yourself you've kept hidden for so long. But here's the truth. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It's where a connection is born. It's in those moments of raw honesty, of letting down your guard, that we find the real, unbreakable bonds between us. Real relationships aren't built on perfection. They're built on trust, shared experiences, on the willingness to be there for each other in both the good times and the bad. So, take a deep breath and give yourself permission to lean on others. Let them offer you the support you've always given so freely. After all, life isn't meant to be lived alone, and true connection can only happen when we let ourselves be seen. Not just for what we can do for others, but for who we are in all our messy, beautiful humanity. 3. Being nice versus being authentic. Throughout our lives, many of us are deeply conditioned to believe that being nice is the key to success in relationships, both personal and professional. From the time we're young, we're taught that niceness is a virtue that earns us respect, admiration, and a sense of belonging. We grow up believing that if we're kind enough, agreeable enough, and selfless enough, we will be loved and appreciated. In many ways, it feels like a simple equation. Be nice, and the world will smile back at you. We smile through discomfort, agree to things we don't want to do, and push our own needs aside to accommodate others. In fact, for many of us, being nice becomes second nature. It's like a mask we put on every day, even when we're hurting, overwhelmed, or exhausted. And for a long time, it feels like the right thing to do. It feels like the only way to navigate the world, to win the approval of others, to create harmony in relationships. But over time, something starts to change. As we get older, the toll of being constantly nice starts to become more apparent. We begin to notice that no matter how much we give, no matter how much we sacrifice, we often end up feeling unseen, unappreciated, and profoundly lonely. This niceness, which once seemed like the ticket to connection and belonging, begins to feel hollow. We're left with a growing sense of emptiness, like we've been giving and giving, yet still don't feel fully known or understood by the people around us. We've been so busy pleasing others that we've neglected the most important relationship in our lives, the one with ourselves. We've lost touch with who we are beneath the surface, behind the smile we put on for everyone else. Niceness, as we've been taught to embody it, comes at a deep, unspoken cost. It demands that we suppress our true feelings, bury our struggles, and present a version of ourselves that is always polished, always acceptable, and always good enough in the eyes of others. It asks us to perform, to be endlessly agreeable, endlessly accommodating, endlessly supportive, even when we're exhausted or frustrated. In doing so, we lose something far more valuable than approval. We lose our authenticity. We start to feel like imposters in our own lives, trapped in a role that others have cast us in. People see us as dependable, yes, but not necessarily as real. They admire us for being reliable, for always being there when they need us, and for our unwavering kindness. But how many of them truly see us? How many of them know our struggles, our flaws, our fears? How many of them know the real us? The answer, more often than not, is very few. In the end, this version of niceness may be the reason we feel so alone. We keep everyone at arm's length, afraid that if we let down the facade, we might risk rejection, judgment, or worse, being dismissed entirely. But here's the truth that so many of us overlook. Authenticity is the foundation of true connection. Authenticity is about showing up as your full, unfiltered self. Joys, sorrows, vulnerabilities, and all. It's about having the courage to say, "I'm not okay today," or "I need help," or even, "This is my truth," even if it's difficult to express. Authenticity doesn't mean abandoning kindness. It means being kind from a place of truth. It means letting go of the need to appear perfect or to meet other people's expectations, and instead, choosing to be genuine, even when it's uncomfortable. Authenticity is about honoring your true feelings, desires, and needs, and expressing them with honesty and vulnerability. It's not about being less kind. It's about being honest in your kindness. You give because you want to, not because you feel obligated. You show up in relationships not as a version of yourself that others want you to be, but as the person you truly are, flaws, imperfections, and all. When you embrace authenticity, you create the space for real, meaningful connections. Think about the relationships in your life that truly matter. The people you feel closest to are likely not the ones who always have a smile on their faces or agree with everything you say. They're the ones who've let you see their struggles, their imperfections, their doubts, and their fears. Those are the relationships that are built on trust and mutual vulnerability. Those are the ones that endure because they're not based on appearances or superficial niceties, but on the raw, messy, and beautiful reality of being human. It's through our struggles, not our facades, that we connect on the deepest level. Authenticity isn't always easy. It can be terrifying, especially if you've spent a lifetime hiding behind the mask of niceness. It means risking rejection, opening yourself up to vulnerability, and perhaps even confronting parts of yourself that you've buried deep inside. It means letting go of the need for constant approval, of always making sure that everyone around you is happy and comfortable, even at the cost of your happiness. But despite the discomfort, the fear, and the vulnerability, embracing authenticity is ultimately freeing. It lifts the weight of pretending to be someone you're not. It frees you from the exhausting pressure of maintaining a perfect, untroubled exterior. And most importantly, it opens the door to relationships that are richer, deeper, and more fulfilling. Relationships that are based on truth, not pretense. When you begin to show up authentically, you'll notice something amazing happen. You'll start to attract people who value you for who you truly are, not for the version of yourself you've been pretending to be. And just as importantly, you'll start to see the people in your life in a whole new light. You'll realize that they, too, have been hiding parts of themselves, parts that they were too afraid to show you. When you embrace your authenticity, you give others the courage to do the same. You create an environment of mutual trust and vulnerability, where deep connections can thrive. This shift from niceness to authenticity can be slow, awkward, and uncomfortable at first. It can feel like you're stepping out of your comfort zone into unknown territory. There's a real fear of being misunderstood, judged, or rejected. But the beauty of authenticity is that it's liberating. When you stop pretending, when you stop trying to please everyone around you, you make room for relationships that are genuine, honest, and real. You stop seeking validation from others and start validating yourself. And in doing so, you invite others to show up as their authentic selves as well. This is how true connection is born, not from niceness, but from truth. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. So, as you look at your life, Ask yourself, what would it feel like to show up as your full, authentic self? What would it feel like to let go of the need to be constantly nice and simply be real? What would it feel like to speak your truth, even when it's messy, uncomfortable, or imperfect? What would it feel like to say no when you need to, and yes only when it comes from a place of genuine desire? These small acts of authenticity, these courageous, sometimes vulnerable choices, can transform not only your relationships with others but also your relationship with yourself. Because when you start being true to who you are, you stop hiding, you stop pretending, and you permit others to do the same. And that's where the magic happens. That's where real, lasting connection begins. 4. Boundaries. The kindest gift you can give. For many of us who have spent a lifetime being kind, thoughtful, and generous, the idea of setting boundaries can feel almost foreign. A strange, uncomfortable notion that makes us uneasy, even fearful. We've been conditioned to believe that kindness is the highest virtue and that being there for others at all costs is the measure of our worth. But when we begin to think about boundaries, we may wonder, doesn't setting limits mean we're being selfish? Doesn't it contradict everything we've been taught about unconditional love and care? It's easy to imagine boundaries as walls, cold, hard barriers that push people away, that isolate us from those we love. It feels like rejecting the very essence of who we are, the kindness that defines us. But the truth, as hard as it may be to accept at first, is this: boundaries are not about rejecting others or closing ourselves off. They are, in fact, one of the most profound and loving gifts we can give to both ourselves and the people around us. Boundaries are not selfish. They are acts of deep, self-respecting love. They are an act of preservation, a shield that protects our energy, our mental and emotional well-being, and our ability to truly give and connect with others from a place of abundance rather than exhaustion. When we don't set boundaries, kindness can become a trap, a cycle of overgiving that leaves us feeling depleted and unseen. It's easy to fall into the trap of saying yes to every request, of always offering help, of always showing up for others, even when we're already running on empty. At first, this may feel fulfilling. It feels good to help, to be needed, to feel like the person people can count on. There's a sense of satisfaction in knowing that we're playing a vital role in someone else's life. But over time, this constant giving begins to take its toll. We become overwhelmed, overburdened, and start to feel resentful toward others, but more often toward ourselves. We wonder, why do we always say yes? Why do we keep giving when we have nothing left to give? The guilt and exhaustion start to accumulate. And what we don't realize is that without boundaries, the very relationships we cherish start to shift in subtle but damaging ways. They become imbalanced, where we are always the givers, and others, even if they love us, become accustomed to taking. It's not that they don't care about us, it's simply that they don't know any other way to interact with us. They've never seen us stand up for our own needs, never seen us put ourselves first. This is where boundaries come in. Boundaries are the antidote to this emotional imbalance. They are the key to regaining control of our lives and our relationships. Setting boundaries is an act of self-love that says, I care about you, but I also care about myself. I am worthy of respect, and my needs deserve to be honored just as much as yours. Setting boundaries is not an act of rejection, but of invitation. An invitation for others to engage with us in a way that respects both our needs and theirs. It's a way to create healthy spaces for love, where we can give freely without feeling drained, and where we can receive without feeling guilty or burdened. Boundaries are not about cutting people off or building walls between us and the world. They are about creating open, honest, and respectful connections. They allow us to nurture relationships where both parties feel valued and respected, and where both feel free to be their true selves without fear of losing their own identity in the process. I want to be clear, setting boundaries is not easy. It's uncomfortable at first, often deeply so. For those of us who have spent a lifetime giving, saying no can feel like a betrayal of the very essence of who we are. We fear disappointing others, letting them down, or worse, losing them altogether. It feels like we're pushing people away, like we're saying we don't care. But the truth is, true relationships are not built on endless self-sacrifice. They are built on mutual respect, honest communication, and an understanding that both people in the relationship have needs that must be honored. When we set a boundary, we're not rejecting the other person. We're simply asking for our needs to be considered, just as theirs are. We're creating a space where both of us can thrive, not just survive. Think about what it might look like to set one small boundary in your life, something simple and clear, but still meaningful. Maybe it's as small as pausing before agreeing to a request. Instead of automatically saying yes, ask yourself, do I have the emotional or physical energy for this right now? If the answer is no, permit yourself to say, I would love to help, but I need to take some time for myself today. It might be letting someone know how their actions have affected you, in a way that feels gentle but firm. I felt hurt when plans were canceled last minute because I was looking forward to spending time with you. These small acts of honesty might feel awkward at first, but they are incredibly powerful. They send a message, not only to others, but to ourselves, that we are worthy of respect, and that our time, our energy, and our feelings matter. They show others how we expect to be treated, with the same kindness, patience, and care that we so freely give. Now, I'll admit, there may be some resistance when you first begin setting boundaries. Some people might be confused or even upset. They might think you've changed, or that you don't care about them anymore. It's difficult for others to adjust to this new dynamic, especially if they're used to us being the ones who always say yes. But the reality is, they'll eventually come to understand that boundaries are not barriers. They are bridges. They allow for healthier, more balanced relationships, where both parties feel respected and valued. And most importantly, boundaries are a gift you give to yourself. They allow you to take back control of your own life, your energy, and your happiness. Boundaries protect you from the constant pressure to please everyone and allow you to focus on what truly matters: your well-being, your passions, your purpose, and your inner peace. When you honor your own needs, you'll find that you have so much more to give, not out of obligation, but out of genuine love and care. You'll have the energy to show up for others, not because you have to, but because you genuinely want to. Boundaries are not about saying no to others. They are about saying yes to yourself. They are about honoring your worth and protecting your energy so that you can show up fully in your relationships. Not as someone who is perpetually drained and overwhelmed, but as someone who is grounded, whole, and deeply connected to their truth. And in that connection to yourself, you'll discover a kindness that is richer, deeper, and more sustainable than anything you've ever known. A kindness that doesn't come from a place of obligation, but from the wellspring of your self-respect and love. And in this space of self-honoring, you will find that your relationships and your life become more fulfilling, more authentic, and more deeply connected than ever before. Because when you set boundaries, you're not closing yourself off from the world. You're opening yourself up to love in its truest, most expansive form. Rediscovering yourself. The journey to authenticity and connection. For so many years, your life has been a delicate dance of giving, of pouring your energy into the lives of others. Raising children, supporting a partner, being a pillar in your community. It's a noble, often selfless existence where your sense of purpose is tied to being the one others can always count on. You became defined by your roles: parent, spouse, friend, caregiver, each of these titles slowly shaping the contours of your identity. You were needed, and that need became the heartbeat of your life. But now, as the rhythm of your days slows and the familiar demands fade, there's an unsettling silence. It's a space that once was filled with voices and responsibilities, is now strangely empty. And in that emptiness, you may feel lost, as though something vital has been stripped away. But let me say this, that emptiness isn't a sign of failure. Far from it. It's an invitation. A beckoning to a new chapter. The chance to rediscover the person you were before the world told you who you should be, before the endless to-do lists, before the expectations of others defined your every move. You are not a walking, breathing checklist of duties. You are so much more than the roles you've played. For years, you may have defined yourself through the lens of others, perhaps as a mother, father, spouse, or caregiver. But when those roles shift, when children leave the nest or a partner passes on, what remains? What happens when you look in the mirror and no longer see the person who's been tethered to others' needs for so long? It's disorienting, isn't it? It can feel like the ground beneath your feet is crumbling away, like you're falling into a vast unknown. And yet, within that feeling of disorientation is a profound truth. It is in this very space that transformation can take root. It's in the void of change that the seeds of your true self, your authentic self, can begin to grow. This stage of life, though often challenging, is also one of incredible potential. You are not just a parent or spouse or friend. You are you. A complex, vibrant, multifaceted person with desires, passions, and dreams that may have been pushed aside for far too long. The beauty of this moment is that it's never too late to reconnect with what sets your soul on fire. Maybe there's a hobby you used to love, one that you set down in the name of responsibility. Maybe there's a book you've always wanted to write, a skill you've dreamed of mastering, or a cause you've wanted to champion but never had the time or energy to pursue. This is the moment to pick up those pieces of yourself and breathe new life into them. But here's the truth. Stepping away from the roles that have defined you for so long can feel terrifying. It can feel like you're standing on the edge of an abyss, unsure if you'll fly or fall. You've built your life on being there for others, on putting their needs before your own. Letting go of that can feel like a betrayal, both to them and to yourself. But it's important to remember that your value was never tied to how much you could do for others. Your worth is inherent. It exists in the quiet, powerful truth that you are enough, simply by being who you are. The wisdom you've accumulated, the experiences you've lived through, the lessons you've learned, these are the treasures that make you uniquely valuable. Rediscovering yourself is a journey that requires both courage and patience. It's about allowing yourself the space to explore who you are outside of the roles you've played. It's about permitting yourself to be uncertain, to be vulnerable, and to embrace the unfamiliar. It's about learning to live for yourself, not for others. The freedom you'll find on this path is not one of isolation but of profound connection, to yourself and to those around you. Because when you begin to show up as your full, authentic self, you give others the gift of doing the same. The relationships you nurture will deepen, not because you are doing more for others, but because you are being more of who you truly are. So take a breath, and know this. The journey to rediscover yourself is not about finding something you've lost. It's about reconnecting to the person you've always been, but maybe forgot to embrace. And in that embrace, you'll find a richness of life that you never knew was possible. The power of vulnerability. For much of your life, you may have been taught, whether by society, family, or even your inner voice, that strength is synonymous with stoicism, that being dependable means keeping your struggles buried deep inside, far from sight. The message we often receive is that vulnerability is a weakness, a flaw to be avoided at all costs. Perhaps for years you believed that to be strong, you had to maintain an impenetrable facade, one that shielded you from others, from being truly seen. But as the years unfold and the layers of life accumulate, you might begin to realize a profound truth. True strength does not lie in hiding your pain or suppressing your emotions. Rather, it lies in having the courage to be fully, unapologetically human, to show up as you are, not just a strong, composed version of yourself, but the person with joys, fears, vulnerabilities, triumphs, and yes, even the wounds. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Vulnerability is so often misunderstood and seen as something weak or needy, particularly by those who have spent a lifetime playing the role of the strong one. Maybe you've been that person, the one everyone turns to, the one who has always managed to keep it together no matter what. You've been the rock, the steady presence, the reliable hand that others hold onto in times of trouble. And yet, in that role, you may have denied yourself the permission to be seen in your full humanity. But here's the thing. Vulnerability is not the opposite of strength, It is the gateway to connection, to deeper, more authentic relationships. It is in the courage to let your guard down, to reveal your true self, that bonds are created. When you share your real emotions, the fears you carry, the joys that still fill your heart, the grief you sometimes feel, you invite others to see you, not just as someone who is always capable, but as someone who feels deeply, who struggles, and who still stands up every day despite the challenges. Think about the people in your life who you feel closest to. Are they the ones who always seem to have it all together, who never show a crack in their armor? Or are they the ones who have invited you into their world, who, in moments of vulnerability, have trusted you enough to share their struggles, their pain, their truths? The deepest relationships are not formed from perfect facades, but from shared experiences and raw openness. Relationships thrive when there is mutual vulnerability and when both parties feel safe enough to shed their defenses and be their true selves. And yet, for so many, particularly those who have been the caregivers, the problem solvers, the ones who are always fine, vulnerability can feel like a foreign language. Awkward, even frightening. You've spent so long being the one who helps, the one who takes on the burdens of others, that you might not know how to let others be there for you. You may fear that if you reveal your true feelings, you'll somehow become a burden, or that you'll lose your place as the dependable one. But the reality is, when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you are not only opening yourself to others, you are also offering them a precious gift. You are giving them the chance to care for you, to support you, and to step into a deeper, more meaningful relationship with you. You're showing them that it's okay to not have all the answers, to not always be perfect, and that you too have needs that deserve to be met. Vulnerability is not just an act of courage. It's an invitation to others to step into your life, to show up for you in ways that you may have never imagined. It creates space for reciprocity, mutual care, and respect, where both people are free to give and receive without fear of judgment or rejection. At first, it might feel uncomfortable, perhaps even terrifying, especially if you've spent so many years hiding behind a facade of strength. But the more you practice vulnerability, the more you will see its profound impact. You will feel the weight of isolation and loneliness lift as others respond with empathy and understanding. You will begin to realize that, in letting yourself be seen, you are not losing strength. You are finding it in the most unexpected of places. As you embrace vulnerability, you will notice something beautiful happening. What once felt like an opening to pain or weakness will transform into a gateway to a deeper connection. People will no longer just see you as the strong one, they will see you as human, just like them. And in that shared humanity, you will find that you are not alone. This is the power of vulnerability. It takes you from surface-level exchanges to soul-deep connections. It deepens relationships in ways that nothing else can. In this stage of life, vulnerability is no longer a choice. It is a necessity, a vital part of living fully and authentically. So, take a deep breath. Allow yourself to be seen, to be known, to be loved. It is in this space that true intimacy and belonging are born. The power of reciprocity. For many of us who have always considered ourselves nice people, life has often felt like a one-way street, where the act of giving has defined our existence. We've spent years, decades, even, pouring ourselves into others, offering our help, our support, our care, and our love without ever really expecting much in return. At first, it felt natural, even fulfilling, didn't it? The warmth of seeing someone smile because you were there for them, the sense of purpose that came from being a source of comfort and stability for those in need. Giving, in so many ways, is its reward. It gives us a sense of pride, a deep, almost sacred connection to the world around us. But as time passes, this pattern can take its toll. The joy of giving can slowly fade into exhaustion, and what once felt like a fulfilling part of life can begin to feel like a heavy burden. You find yourself drained, emotionally, mentally, even physically, by the sheer one-sidedness of it all. The paradox is that despite all the giving, you may start to feel more isolated, more disconnected from others than ever before. How can that be? How can we, who have spent our lives caring for others, still end up feeling alone? The answer lies in the heart of true relationships: reciprocity. Real, meaningful connections between people don't thrive on one-sided sacrifice. They require a delicate balance, a flow of give and take. True intimacy, whether in friendships, family, or romantic relationships, can only flourish when both people are willing to give and receive in equal measure. The challenge for many of us, particularly as we age, is learning to allow others to give back. It might seem strange, even uncomfortable, to ask for help. For so long, we've prided ourselves on being the strong ones, the ones who offer a hand without hesitation. The thought of asking for something in return might even feel selfish, as if we're somehow imposing on others, taking something they may not be willing or able to give. But here's the truth: allowing others to help you is not selfish. It's an act of kindness in itself. By opening yourself to receiving, you're offering the people around you the opportunity to experience the joy that comes with giving. The joy you've known countless times when you've been the one to give. You're giving them the chance to feel the same sense of purpose and fulfillment that you've always felt when helping others. Reciprocity doesn't mean keeping a mental scorecard, tallying up every favor exchanged. It's not about who's done more or less. It's about creating relationships that are balanced and mutual. It's about saying, "I trust you enough to let you care for me, just as I have cared for you." It's about letting go of the nagging fear that asking for help somehow makes us weak or needy. In truth, vulnerability is one of the most powerful ways we can foster real connection. It strips away the armor we wear and allows us to be seen as we truly are: human, imperfect, but capable of deep love and care. Think about how it feels when someone you care about opens up to you, asking for your help, sharing a struggle, or showing their vulnerability. Doesn't it deepen your bond with them? Doesn't it make you feel even more connected and more invested in their well-being? Now, imagine the same scenario in reverse. When you allow others to be there for you, not just as recipients of your kindness, but as active participants in the relationship, you open up a whole new world of intimacy and trust. You create space for love to grow and for bonds to strengthen. It's never too late to embrace the power of reciprocity. It's never too late to learn that giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin. If you've spent your life offering your help, now is the time to allow others to offer theirs. Start small. If someone offers assistance, don't hesitate. Accept it with gratitude. If you need support, ask for it without shame. These small but powerful acts of trust, of letting others in, can transform the dynamics of your relationships. Over time, they can shift from mere transactions, one-sided exchanges of favors or kindness, to true partnerships based on mutual respect, shared care, and, ultimately, love. As we grow older, we often realize that life is too short to keep giving without receiving. To truly experience the depth of human connection, we must allow ourselves to be open to the possibility that we, too, deserve to be cared for, loved, and supported. When we embrace reciprocity, we embrace the fullness of life and the beauty of shared humanity. Embracing imperfection. For so many of us, especially those of us who have always been the nice person, the pursuit of perfection has been a constant, silent companion. It's like an invisible weight you've carried your entire life, pushing you to be the dependable one, the kind one, the one who never lets anyone down. You've dedicated yourself to being accommodating, bending over backward to make sure everyone else is happy, often at the expense of your peace. You've hidden your struggles, polished your image, and done everything in your power to avoid conflict, all in the name of being good enough for those around you. Feels like the only way to be loved or accepted is by being flawless, by fitting into a mold of what society, or even just those closest to you, expects. But here's the harsh, beautiful truth that so many of us often forget. Perfection is not what brings people close. It's your imperfections, your raw, unfiltered humanity, that makes you lovable. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment below to let me know that you are still here with me. When you stop and think about the people you cherished most, the ones who have stood by your side through thick and thin, who do you admire? Are they flawless, always polished, always perfect? Or are they the ones who've been brave enough to show their scars, to let you see their struggles, their mistakes, and the parts of themselves they'd rather hide? The truth is, it's not perfection that connects us. It's those moments of raw vulnerability. It's the times when someone shows you their true, unguarded self, the messy, complicated, beautiful person they are behind the polished exterior. Think about it. Those are the moments that have made you feel closest to the people you love. Perfection might inspire admiration, even envy, but imperfection invites love. As you grow older, especially in the later years of life when things start to feel less certain, it's time to let go of that constant pressure to appear flawless. You don't have to have it all together to be worthy of connection. The opposite is true. It's okay to have bad days, to mess up, to ask for forgiveness, and to show up as the imperfect, vulnerable person you are. The truth is, these moments of vulnerability, these cracks in our armor, are what allow for deeper connections to form. It's in those moments that others can truly see you, not as the perfect image you've worked so hard to maintain, but as the real person you are, the one who feels, who struggles, and who grows. Letting go of the need for perfection also means finally releasing the burden of pleasing everyone. We are not responsible for making sure everyone is happy all the time. You don't have to say yes to every request or sacrifice your well-being just to be valued. That kind of self-sacrifice is exhausting, and in the end, it only robs you of the chance to show up as your authentic self. The most beautiful, meaningful relationships aren't built on perfection. They're built on honesty, on showing up with all your flaws and imperfections and allowing others to do the same. When you step into the world as your true self, messy, imperfect, but real, you give others the freedom to do the same. And that authenticity, that shared vulnerability, is the foundation for the kind of deep, soulful connections we all crave. It's what we long for, not just in others, but in ourselves. So, let go of the impossible standard of perfection. Embrace the messiness of life. Embrace your imperfections, because it's in that messy, beautiful place where love, connection, and authenticity truly live. You are enough, just as you are. As we wrap up today's video, I want you to take a moment and reflect on what you've learned so far. We've explored the power of embracing imperfection, letting go of the constant pressure to be perfect, and showing up as your authentic, vulnerable self. What part of this message resonated with you the most? Is it the reminder that perfection isn't what brings people close, but rather our shared humanity? Or maybe it's the freedom to realize you don't have to please everyone to be loved. Take a moment to think about one thing you're going to start practicing in your own life. Maybe it's permitting yourself to be imperfect, or perhaps you're ready to stop pretending you have it all together. Whatever it is, I'd love to hear from you. Please comment below and let us know how this message is impacting you and what you plan to bring into practice. If you found value in this video, please leave a comment, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content that helps you navigate life with purpose, authenticity, and connection. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.